But first, there is the one story that we cannot not talk about, which is TikTok, naturally. And this week, Danny, you wrote about how we should not take every TikTok buying rumor very seriously because of bankers essentially talking their book. So what's going on with the information war about TikTok?
Well, I mean, obviously, we're going to be talking about exits and exits and exits over the next couple of weeks, whether they're IPOs, SPACs, and then TikTok. So TikTok's clock is counting down. It is August 14th when we release this show. And we have 4 weeks left on the Trump-induced timeline
Yes.
for when they must sell immediately or they will die. And so, given all the pressure that TikTok faces, the bankers here are trying to generate some level of a feeding frenzy for the company. And basically, I was writing earlier this week that look, we've heard that Twitter's rumored to be looking at them. We've heard that Apple's rumored, Google's rumored. I was joking that Oracle's rumored. I mean, they have a data center business. Like, why can't Oracle buy TikTok?
Right.
But
you get a TikTok. You get
a little bit of TikTok. But if you start to listen into some of the PR we're hearing, like Apple has fundamentally declared that they are not interested. So they are out. Google has demurred. Twitter has, I think, $8 billion in cash total in the company's balance sheet, if I'm remembering my numbers correctly. So it's ridiculous. And so I think it's really important to remember that there is essentially one company here. It's called Microsoft. And Microsoft knows that it has immense control over the scale of the deal here. And unfortunately for TikTok, the only way they're going to get the price that they're actually worth is to have multiple bidders at the table. Yes. That's why the bankers are doing so much work to bring them here. I don't think it's going to happen. So I think we're going to be shocked at what might be the final purchase price here for the company.
It reminds me a lot of when a company confidentially files to go public and then it just gets scooped up immediately. I always think it's such a clever way to I'm going to go public unless anyone takes me, looks back. And so that's kind of what this whole dilemma is reminding me of.
I'm really curious though, if there is anyone out there who's very serious. I think Danny, your read's great. Off the show, off the record, we talk about some stuff that we're told by people via text and other messaging platforms of other companies that might be interested. And we're always kind of maybe. But Danny, do you think there will be two serious bids for the company, or will it come down to just being Satya with an offer and then Trump with a middle finger on the other side?
I think it really becomes a question of purchase price, right? If the purchase price is near LinkedIn, it's in the 20 billion plus price point. No, there's not a lot of buyers. I think if it gets down into the single digits, which may be possible given all the dynamics here. I mean, it just crazily like a one-of-one deal. It's really hard to get a comp to the president of the United States has a couple of week timeline to sell a massive 100 million user product. If it gets into the single digits, I mean, it might be SPAC'd, right? It could be actually picked up by a private equity firm. There's all kinds of other alternatives that might show up there that we don't normally hear about. So it's a mix. I think it's totally dependent on the purchase price.
Okay, well, one more thing before we drop the TikTok thing. BI had some notes from kind of Yammer, which is the internal Microsoft tool. And if you haven't heard of Yammer, I think it won the TechCrunch 50 back in the day and sold for $1 billion. So it's kind of one of those early TC conference successes that I have stories about for another day. Anyways, there was a poll on there and Microsoft employees were surprisingly mixed about buying TikTok. I think a lot of the stuff that we've all thought about it being kind of a strategic interesting choice lands among the employee base as well. So it'd be fun to see what happens. I'm sure we'll have more soon, but Tosh, before we go, over to you.
I was just going to say some of the employees from that story had said something along the lines of if you make this deal happen and Trump gets his way, you're kind of getting in bed with Trump. So that's why we don't want it to happen. And so I feel like this whole deal is going to be this huge metaphor for 2020 that we're going to have to do a shot on, because it's going to trigger so many alarm bells of antitrust, Donald Trump, coronavirus, and the list goes on.
I mean, we always do that after boomers ruined MySpace and then Facebook and then Instagram. We always knew boomers were going to ruin TikTok. I just didn't think it was going to be 2020 with this kind of method. I thought it was going to be them showing up and doing bad dances, not being like, haha, we're cutting you off. Anyways, we'll be back on TikTok, I'm sure, Monday and next Friday, because this is going to keep going until it is done. And then even then, it's going to stay interesting.